Welcome to Benny Stories, the home of timeless folk tales and powerful stories that inspire, teach, and entertain. If you love stories filled with wisdom, culture, and life lessons, then you're in the right place. Before we begin today's story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up so you never miss out on the magic of storytelling. Now, sit back, relax, and let's journey together into the world of today's folktale. Morning breaks over Lagos with a familiar orchestra, bus conductors yelling roots, generators coughing to life, and hawkers balancing crates like crown jewels. On a cracked curb by Balagan Market, a young woman in torn wrappers and dust-scuffed slippers sits with a plastic bowl. Her name is Amora. People clock her and look away. Some stare a beat too long, assuming the same story, another statistic, another plea. But Amora doesn't beg with noise. She watches. That quiet is her armor. A boy skips past and tosses in a 50 naira note, proud of his kindness, and Auntie yanks him along, scolding, "Money is for those who work." Two schoolgirls whisper, giggle, and snap a photo. A banker in a navy suit slows, then speeds up as if compassion might be a scam. The city keeps moving. Amora counts shoes, faces, tones, how pity hardens into suspicion, how contempt arrives dressed as advice. By noon, the sun bleaches shadows into nothing. A market woman named Mama Oj pauses to offer puff-puff. "Eat, my daughter." Amora shakes her head, forcing a smile. She isn't hungry, at least not for food. She's starving for truth. Beneath the grime, her skin glows. Beneath the headscarf, her hair is neatly braided. Beneath the ragged blouse, her back is straight. She's not here for coins. She's here to learn. 3 months earlier, the reading of Chief Emmanuel Alade's will, her father, turned her life into a chessboard. As sole heir to Alade Holdings, oil, real estate, shipping, and a healthcare foundation, she inherited not just wealth but wolves, relatives with sugar tongues and knife hands, suitors who love the vault more than the woman, even mentors who call their manipulation mentorship. Her father's last counsel wasn't a line in a lawyer's file. It was a memory of a conversation on the veranda at dusk. When people see money, they stop seeing you. Find the ones who look past your gold. So Amora invented a test. She disappeared from society pages, dismissed the chauffeur, and let a skeleton crew of loyal staff run the empire's day-to-day. In public, she became the beggar everyone thought they understood. In private, she studied the city's soul. Who offered dignity? Who flexed cruelty? Which brands exploited the poor? Which officials shook down hawkers? In the performative theater of Lagos kindness, what was real? As twilight stains the city mauve, Amora gathers a few notes in her bowl and slips them into Mama Oj's hand. "For your daughter's textbooks," she whispers, ignoring the woman's startled tears. She takes a back alley, boards a keek, crosses into a quieter district, then walks, unhurried, unseen, to a high gate. The guard steps forward, half bowing. "Welcome, Madam Amora." Inside, a discreet mansion hums with soft light and the smell of jasmine. Staff move like whispers. A butler, Cunnel, brings warm water. She scrubs the dust from her hands and face and returns, hour by hour, to the life the street can't imagine. A study with teak shelves, a control room of dashboards tracking shipping routes and clinic supplies, 3 phones on silent, and a whiteboard crowded with names, arrows, and notes. Today's log: 2 traders share food with strangers. A banker mocks a street hawker, faces lawsuit for predatory loans. A neon-lit bar launders money through charity nights. And at the center, circled twice, is a new entry, black Range Rover, plate ending 72K. Handsome, laughs with friends, looked ashamed after. She underlines the last phrase, because as afternoon tilted to evening, a convoy had rolled by. Boys in designer tees, music thumping, windows down. They'd laughed at her, and she'd trained herself not to flinch. But the driver, late 20s, tailored white shirt, the easy swagger money, held her stare a second too long. Laughter stuck in his throat. Regret flickered. He drove on anyway. In her room, Amora changes into a simple silk gown, hair freed from the scarf, makeup light. She texts her operations head, Chidi, keep pressure on the clinic supplies to Makako. Ordered the NGO Bright Hands, Numbers don't add up. Also, find the owner of a black Range Rover, 72K. Chidi replies with a thumbs up and a promise. On it. She stands on the balcony as Lagos glitters like spilled stars. Out there, the city is sure it knows who she is. In here, her father's portrait watches like a silent oath. She isn't hiding because she's ashamed of wealth. She's hiding because truth needs a quiet room to grow. She breathes in the jasmine, exhales the street's dust, and allows herself a small smile. Tomorrow, she'll sit in the same spot. Tomorrow, the city will perform again. And if the man in the Range Rover returns, if that shame in his eyes wasn't a trick of light, her test might finally meet its first real candidate. Hook for next chapter. Somewhere across town, a name is being Googled. Who is a girl by Ballaghan who doesn't take money? David Cole isn't new to stays. He grew up inside them, glossy magazine spread with his father, Sir Richard Cole, ribbon cutting for luxury towers, private school graduations where the cameras found the Coles as if by instinct. His life has the soft edges of privilege, private trainers, last-minute flights, a PR team that turns mistakes into learning arcs. His not cruel, his simply cushioned. Lagos, to David, is two cities, the curated one he lives in and the chaotic one viewed through tinted glass. Tonight is on a rooftop in Victoria Island with Toby and Emeka, friends since adolescence. Drinks glow under blue lights. A DJ scratches nostalgia into Afrobeats. From this height, the city looks solvable. Emeka boasts about a crypto windfall. Toby complains about a father who wants him in real estate or nothing. When David mentions a girl on the curb, the one who didn't take his money, Toby laughs. You're thinking about a beggar? Bro. Emeka imitates a whiny voice. Oga, help me N.A. The table cackles. But for David, something doesn't land. He remembers her eyes. No desperation, no hustle, just a mirror he didn't like. He shrugs, lets the banter carry him, then peels off early, claiming an early meeting. In the elevator, the music fades and the glass reveals a different city, bus queues, dust traffic, a woman carrying a baby in a basin, a hawker jogging between cars with bottled water. He sees them all. Then he sees himself, jaw set, shirt too crisp, a man who could fix any inconvenience with a call. It bothers him that it bothers him. At home, the Cole penthouse is a museum of control, modern art, a grand piano nobody plays, a bar that refills without being asked. His father is on a video conference, voice firm, phrases like market correction, anchor investor, leverage community goodwill. Sir Richard is the architect of luxury. David is the heir apparent expected to switch from sailing to steering. When the call ends, Richard looks over. Site visit tomorrow at Eco Atlantic, 9 sharp. Wear the hard hat, at least for the cameras. David nods. His father scans him. You good? It's caring, in a managerial way. I'm fine, David says. He is not. Later in his room, he searches his own memories of compassion. Scholarships launch in his name that he didn't choose, charity galas where compassion is plated between canapes. He unlocks his phone and, almost sheepish, types into Maps the corner near Ballaghan. He mima-eyes Sarut. Then he scrolls through Instagram, friends abroad, yet weekends, filtered skies. He closes the app and stands at the window. Below, Lagos doesn't filter itself. Morning finds him restless. He skips the gym, tells his driver to take the mainland route for the view, and as they near the market he taps the glass. Stop. Toby calls while the car idles. Omo, where you at? David hesitates. Errand. For who? For me. He ends the call and steps into the heat. He spots Amara almost at once. Same curb, same bowl, same quiet. He brings out cash, then puts it away. He crouches, which surprises even him. Good morning. She looks at him, not around him, not through him, at him. Morning. About yesterday. He starts. You laughed. She says, simple fact, no flourish. Yes, he admits. I'm sorry. A beat. Her eyes soften, then reset. Saying sorry is easy for people who can drive away. He swallows. Teach me harder things, then. The line sounds rehearsed in his own ears, like something from a TED Talk. He winces. She notices. They talk awkwardly at first. He asks her name. She gives it. He asks if she needs food. She says she's fine. He asks why she refuses money. She says, because I didn't like why you gave it. He blinks. And why did I give it? To feel better about laughing, she replies. It lands with the precision of truth. He doesn't argue. A police truck slows. An officer eyes Amora like a problem. David feels anger rise, an instinct to shield. The truck pulls off. He exhales a breath he didn't know he held. Come have lunch. He blurts. She shakes her head. I don't eat with strangers. Dinner. You're still a stranger. He smiles despite himself. What about a conversation that lasts longer than 30 seconds? She studies him, then nods at a bench under a frayed umbrella. They sit. He asks questions that aren't pitted disguised as care. What's hardest about this spot? What do people assume? What would she change if she could change one thing? She flips one question back at him. What would you change about yourself if nobody was watching? He doesn't answer. He leaves with no number, no selfie, no tidy ending. Just a sense that he stepped out of the air-conditioned script for an hour. Back in the car, he stares at his reflection and sees, for a fleeting second, a man he doesn't fully know. As traffic crawls, he decides to invite her, somewhere public, somewhere safe for her, somewhere that will test him more than her. An idea forms, the Cole Foundation Gala next weekend. He'll face his circle with her at his side. If he flinches, he fails. Across town, a message pings in Chidi's inbox. Plate 72K belongs to David Ritchie Cole. Amora reads it without expression. She draws a small crown next to his name on her whiteboard, then a question mark. Hook. 2 tests are about to collide. His of himself, his of everyone. Cole. Amora reads it without expression. She draws a small crown next to his name on her whiteboard, then a question mark. Hook. 2 tests are about to collide. His of himself, his of everyone. Heat presses down like a hand. The market is a maze of scents, diesel, spices, sweat, frying oil. In this crucible, character reveals itself fast. Amora notes patterns, the way some people weaponize advice. Just work harder, the way others hoard kindness as performance. She files every moment. Today, 3 society women sweep by, rappers crisp, geo-stacked like architecture. They slow, the way people slow near a small accident. These girls are lazy. One announces to no one and everyone. If she wanted to, she could sell pure water. Another chuckles, or sell something else. They laugh, the brittle laughter of people who need an audience. Amora keeps a gaze on a crack in the cement, steadying her breath. Their words float away like heat shimmer. A teenage hawker pauses, offering bottled water. Amora buys one and hands it to an old man asleep on a sack. The hawker grins. Auntie, God go bless you. It's not money passing hands, it's dignity switching owners. Small things matter. By noon, David is back, alone. He doesn't try to perform niceness. He asks if she'll walk with him to a nearby booker. She refuses gently, but agrees to stand in the shade with Zobo sachets. He confesses he hasn't eaten street food in years. She tells him the best Akara is 2 streets over and laughs when he asks if there's a menu. The laugh surprises them both. He shares a memory of childhood, how his mother used to sneak him to the beach without security, barefoot and free, before she got sick and the world tightened. The memory softens his jaw. Amora files it. Grief births tenderness in people who allow it. A bus screeches. A conductor yells a slur at a fruit seller. She yells back. Lagos argues and moves on. Enter Vanessa, David's on-off ex and committed social climber, in sunglasses at cost rent. She spots them, freezes, pivots into a smile that never reaches her eyes. Babe, she chirps, kissing the air near David's cheek, ignoring Amora as if she were a lamppost. You didn't answer my DM about Friday. David, flustered, introduces them. Vanessa nods at the air above Amora's head. Nice to meet. Then, to David, Foundation Gala is next week. Daddy's on the board. We have a table. You're coming. David glances at Amora. Maybe. Vanessa clocks the glance, recalibrates, and pays on pity. "Oh, we're doing philanthropy auditions now," she says lightly, nails tapping her phone. Amora's mouth twitches, almost a smile, almost a sigh. Vanessa swans off, leaving perfume and a threat. "Is that your world?" Amora asks. "It's a part of it," David admits. "Will you bring me into it to prove something to them or to yourself?" she asks. He swallows. It's the exact question he needed. "To prove something to myself," he says. She nods, not convinced but willing to test. "Then invite me properly." That evening, David drafts and redrafts a message that keeps sounding like a press release. He deletes it all and types simply, "There's a foundation gala next Saturday. It funds surgeries for kids. Come with me, please. I'd like you there, not as a project, just as you." He hesitates, then hits send to the only contact she gave, the informal meet point. "I'll ask you tomorrow in person. If you say no, I'll respect it." It's clumsy honesty. It will have to do. Meanwhile, Chidi compiles a thicker file on the coals. Philanthropic wins, land disputes, a shadow of controversy around displacement from a waterfront project. Nothing criminal, just a moral smog of development. Amora underlines a pattern. The coals do real good, but sometimes at arm's length. She circles her Richard's name and draws an arrow to board seats equals control optics. The next day, Amora is greeted by a chorus of teasing. A cluster of traders notice David's visits. "Auntie, the fine Bobo likes you," someone sings. A tailor winks. "Collect the love." "Oh." She blushes, then she doesn't. Because what matters is that, under the joke, respect has grown. People see the way David stands with her, not in front, not behind, beside. He arrived with no entourage. He asks, in front of everyone, "Will you come to the gala with me?" The market pauses to listen. Amora glances around, decides to own it, and says, "I will." Cheers erupt. The fruit seller ululates. A conductor honks in approval he doesn't understand. Vanessa's Instagram lights up that night with caption, "Charity season." Some people bring dates, others bring stories. The subtext is neon. Amora doesn't care. She tries on a clean second-hand dress and looks at herself in a shard of mirror. She looks like herself, no borrowed glitter, no borrowed shame. Hook. The invite is public. The humiliation will try to be, too. The city knows Amora as shadows and rags. The mansion knows her as Madam. She arrives after dark to keep the two truths from touching. Inside, restraint rules, muted walls, wide hallways, rooms that breathe. Cunnell meets her with reports. Ada from Foundation called with updates on a cleft palate surgery backlog. BC from the legal team flags a journalist sniffing around the allayed family trusts. Amora absorbs it all, then heads to the study where her father once sat, pen clicking like a metronome of thought. On the wall, a map of Nigeria carries color pins, clinics applied, schools renovated, water projects restored. Another board outlines allayed holdings, upstream oil interest partnered with smaller local players, her father's insistence on sharing, an affordable housing initiative stalling at permitting, bribe demands refused, and a shipping arm modernizing routes with real-time tracking, her own idea, implemented last quarter. For someone the city calls Beggar, her fingerprints are everywhere, and intentionally invisible. We learn why she chose invisibility. After Chief Alade's passing, family arrived with condolences that smelled like power. Uncle Sola suggested a temporary oversight committee to shield her from stress. A cousin tried to move money under pretense of currency hedging. Even an ex-boyfriend, Kalu, returned with tearful apologies, proposing marriage like it was a merger. Amora watched, nodding at the performance, inwardly memoizing every fraudulent frame. The board expected a pliable heiress. They got a patient strategist. She replaced advisors with people who told the truth even when it stung, sewed internal audits into every unit, and created an unglamorous rule. No one posts selfies with charity beneficiaries. Dignity first. Now, with the gala approaching, she must decide how much of herself to reveal. There is risk. The Cole family is powerful. Association invites assumptions. Visibility invites predators. Yet there's also opportunity to test David in the bright arena where mocking is a sport, to see if her presence can tilt a conversation about charity towards structural change. She lays out 2 outfits. A couture dress the world would applaud, and a modest, patched gown steam clean. She chooses the latter. If they scorn her, let it be honest. Chidi raises concerns. Madam, the press will be there. If they tie you to allayed holdings, they won't, she says. They never look at what they refuse to see. He nods, half admiring, half worried. Ada suggests bringing security undercover. Amora agrees, 2 plainclothes, silent and invisible. She rehearses nothing. Instead, she writes 3 index cards for herself. 1. Observe who laughs first and who follows. 2. Watch who checks on the insulted, not the insulter. 3. If David tries to protect his image over your dignity, end it. She tucks the cards into her purse like talismans. Colonel hovers. Your father will be proud. Amora smiles, soft. Then I must be careful. Pride is a poor strategist. She sleeps lightly. Dreams braid together. Her father's voice, children's laughter from clinic corridors, market women's teasing, Vanessa's sunglasses reflecting her like a ghost. She wakes before dawn and watches the city stretch. The mansion's garden glitters with dew. Somewhere, a muezzin calls. She whispers back a prayer, for courage not to perform, for clarity to see, for the strength to be kind without being naive. By afternoon, the city is again its noisy, glittering self. She slips into the patched dress, ties a simple headscarf, and leaves the jewels in a drawer. At the gate, the guard who calls her Madam sees the transformation and nods with understanding. Some power wears velvet, some wears dust. Both can be armor. She sends Chidi a final text. If the night goes wrong, contingency J. What's J again? He replies. Justice. She writes. He sends a prayer emoji. The car that picks her up is not the cold convoy. It's a regular Uber. Control is power, so is choosing not to use it. On the way, she passes street corners that taught her more than boardrooms. A bus stop where a stranger shielded a pregnant woman with his umbrella. A kiosk where a girl shared chin-chin with a boy she just met. A police checkpoint where a hawker learned compliance like choreography. She stores these images like fuel. Outside Eco Convention Center, the carpet is red enough to demand kneeling. Flashbulb spray. Anchors purr into microphones. Lagos' finest giving back. Amora steps out, and heads tilt like birds sensing weather. She breathes in, shoulders square, lips neutral. She is here to be nobody and to watch everybody. Then David steps into frame, looking at her not as a rescue project or a PR accessory, but as someone he's trying to learn from. He offers his arm. She doesn't take it. Not yet. Hook, the doors open. Inside is a room designed to test a person's soul. The ballroom is a cathedral to money, chandeliers like frozen fireworks, tables dressed in white, a stage with a K-full logo, coal foundation, hands to heel. A string quartet competes with chatter. Men in tuxedos talk impact like a hedge, women in gowns compare committees, and photographers hunt tears for thumbnails. The MC rehearses a line about the least among us that makes Amora's molars tense. She and David enter together now. Conversation stutter, skip, resume at a higher pitch. The polite mask of Lagos peels back an inch. A donor's wife says too loudly, "Is this avant-garde?" Another stage whispers, bold, street-to-sweet couture. Laughter crinkles like cellophane. David's throat tightens. He wants to tell them to shut up. He doesn't. Instead, he asks the maitre d' to seat them, voice steady. At table 6, Vanessa sits with her father, Mr. Jai, a board member whose philanthropy is a byproduct of lobbying. She beams sugary light. David, you made it. And you brought. She lets the sentence die, eyes sweeping Amora like a detective for value. Welcome, she adds, tone saying, don't stain the linen. David opens his mouth. Amora lightly taps his wrist. Don't spend outrage cheaply, and takes a seat with the composure of a judge. The program begins. A video montage shows children's surgeries, mothers crying grateful tears before and after photos. The impact is real. The packaging is glossy. Amora notes which clips linger on suffering and which on donor smiles. She applauds when applause is due and refuses to weaponize cynicism. Saving lives matters even when ego clings to the receipt. Between courses, small humiliations try to multiply. A waiter, Harriet hesitates before pouring her water as if poverty were contagious. Vanessa accidentally knocks Amora's napkin to the floor. A socialite leans in, all Botox concern. Darling, we're on a training program for women like you. Basic hygiene, job skills. We'd love to. I appreciate your work. Amora says evenly, especially if the jobs pay living wages. The socialite blinks like she's been slapped with data. David's lips twitch. Then comes the auction. A round of pledges. Numbers are shouted. Egos flex. 5 million. 7. 10 from the Ajayis. Cameras swivel. Sir Richard nods solemnly from the head table, the benevolent king. David raises his paddle for a moderate sum. Heads turn to see what his date will do. Will she clap like a grateful accessory? She claps like a citizen. Vanessa leans toward David, sugar-curdling. Babe, your PR team is going to have a heart attack. Bringing authenticity is risky. David's patience thins. Vanessa, he says softly, not everything is content. She blinks, calculating the new algorithm of him. A board member approaches with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Son, can we have a quick photo with your friend? David looks at Amora. Consent is hers to give or withhold. I'd prefer not, she says. The smile pauses, then resumes. Of course. He leaves, stiff. A child with a new smile takes the stage with her mother. The room softens. Amora's hands not under the table. This is why she funds clinics quietly. The mother thanks donors and the foundation. The MC cues violins and big checks. Purpose flickers through the spectacle like a candle. Then, the moment that decides the night. A security guard whispers to the Maître D'. The Maître D' whispers to a board member. The board member whispers, loud enough to pollinate rumor. This guest may be out of place. There have been complaints. Complaints? Translation. Someone wealthy felt poor by proximity. 2 guards materialize at a discreet distance. David pushes back his chair. If you touch her, you answer to me, he says, not yelling, not posing, just cold truth. Cameras tilt like sunflowers. Sir Richard arrives, drawn by the gravitational pull of unfolding PR. He assesses a tableau in a heartbeat. His son, a woman in patched clothes, donors' faces tightening into judgment. He chooses a path decades of training toward him. Neutralize risk, soothe wallets. David, he says, hand on his shoulder, voice low. We can seat your friend in the lounge. More comfortable. It's a smile offered as mercy, a knife wrapped in velvet. Silence clamps down. This is a test. Not of Amora. She knew this would come. Of David. He stands. She sits with me, he says. Or I don't sit at all. Gasps. A few claps, brave or accidental. Vanessa smiles like a blade. Sir Richard's jaw tightens 0.5 millimeter. The MC, sensing derailment, tries to swell the room with music. Amora rises, steady as a verdict. It's okay, she says to David. I can go. He shakes his head. No, not like this. She studies him, really studies. The spine, the eyes, the calculus between comfort and conviction. Then she reaches into her purse, touches the index cards, and chooses test number 3. If he chooses image over dignity, walk away. He hasn't. She turns to Sir Richard. Thank you for the invitation to be comfortable, she says. Comfort is not always the right thing. She sits. Sir Richard's eyes flick to the cameras, to donors, to the ledger in his head where success and scandal are tallied. He nods curtly, waves off the guards, and returns to his throne. The room exhales. For 5 seconds, Lagos remembers how to be human. Then the program lurches forward. On stage, a keynote speaker declares that true compassion is messy. At table 6, compassion just chose a seat and refused to move. Morning in Lagos never waits. By dawn, blogs and Instagram gossip pages have weaponized last night's gala into trending hashtags. #Beggar at the ball, #Coal scandal, #riches and rags. Grainy photos of David holding Amora's chair flood timelines, framed with captions dripping in sarcasm. Future CEO rescues Beggar for charity clout. Memes spread faster than traffic. One shows Cinderella at midnight. Only her slipper is a cracked rubber flip-flop. In the cold penthouse, David scrolls in disbelief. His father, Sir Richard, paces with a phone glued to his ear, calming investors who see reputation risk. "You don't understand optics," Richard snaps at his son. "You've jeopardized deals because you wanted to play Robin Hood with your date." David fires back. "She's not a project. She's a person." Richard's eyes flash. "Then let her be a person outside my boardroom." Meanwhile, Amora sips tea in her mansion garden. Connell, the butler, places the morning papers before her. Headlines scream her disguise. Who is the beggar girl? Street romance or PR stunt? Amora's lips curl in a calm, ironic smile. "They still don't see me," she murmurs. She calls Chidi. "Double our anonymous donations to the children's wing at Lagos General. Let them gossip while we build." Chidi hesitates. "But, madam, the coal boy is being tested." Amora says simply, "The city too." On the streets, market women chatter. "Did you see? That fine boy took our Amora to party." Some cheer her as a heroine of humility, others mock, calling her fine girl with foreign taste. But her dignity in the face of insults during the gala has earned her silent admiration. People begin to see her less as a beggar and more as something else. David arrives at the curb later, ignoring cameras hiding in plain sight. "Why didn't you warn me?" he asks. Amora shrugs. "Life warns us every day. Did you listen?" He wants to be angry, but her calm disarms him. He sits on the cracked curb beside her, dressed in a white shirt that now looks oddly ordinary. Cars honk at the sight of him sitting on the ground. For the first time, he doesn't care. Hook, across town, Vanessa uploads a video. In it, she smirks. "Girls, guard your men." Some people climb from gutter to penthouse overnight. The war of perception has begun. Vanessa is not the type to lose quietly. To her, image is currency, and Amora has stolen spotlight she cannot afford to give. She convenes allies, society influencers, bloggers, and even her father, Mr. Jai, who warns that David's actions could compromise board confidence. Together, they hatch a plan, paint Amora as a thief, a manipulator, a fraud. At the market, whispers begin. A trader accuses Amora of lifting 10,000 Nigerian nairas from her stall. "I saw her hand near my purse," the woman insists. Security guards are called. A crowd gathers. Phones rise. "So it's true. She's a thief." Someone jeers. David arrives mid-chaos, shoving through the crowd. "Stop." He asks the trader, "Did you see her steal, or are you assuming because of her clothes?" The woman falters. Amora stands silently, dignity intact. Another trader, Mimaoj, steps forward. "That girl gave my daughter money for textbooks. She is no thief." The crowd mutters, doubt spreading. The accuser slinks away. But the damage is done. By nightfall, blogs post shaky videos captioned, "Charity girl caught stealing." The story is sticky. Poverty and theft make easy headlines. Sir Richard calls David furious. "Every move you make ties to my empire. Break it off." David replies with steel in his voice. "If I break it off, it won't be for you. It will be for me. And I'm not done yet." At her mansion, Amora watches a video replay. Her jaw is firm, her heart steady. She texts Chidi. Let them push. They will reveal themselves. For her, lies are temporary masks. Truth, eventually, burns through. But how much humiliation will David endure before he walks away? That is what she needs to know. Hook, Vanessa, unsatisfied, decides to escalate. She hires men to dig into Amora's real background. Soon, secrets will be unearthed, but not the ones Vanessa expects. David can't let go of the puzzle Amora presents. She eats sparingly, vanishes at odd times, and her calm under fire feels more royal than desperate. One evening, curiosity overwhelms him. He follows discreetly as she leaves the market, trailing her through alleyways and into a waiting Uber. He keeps his distance as a car winds into Ikoyi, stopping at a gated estate. To his shock, guards bow respectfully as Amora enters. Heart pounding, David stays in his car outside the gate. Questions riot in his mind. Who is she? Why hide? He wants to storm in, demand answers, but he also knows trust is fragile. Instead, he waits until the next day to confront her. Back at the curb, he leans against a wall, arms folded. I followed you. Amora's eyes sharpen. And what did you see? Enough to know you're not who you pretend to be. Silence. Market women glance between them. Amora finally says, pretending to be poor is safer than pretending to be rich. David frowns. You don't trust me. Why should I? You laughed at me once. He's hurt but not defeated. Then give me a chance to prove I'm not the man I was in that car. Amora studies him for a long moment. Prove it, David. Not with money, with choices. That night, David can't sleep. He paces his room, torn between anger at her secrecy and awe at her strength. For the first time in his privileged life, he feels like the one auditioning for acceptance. Hook. In Vanessa's hands, private investigators deliver a thick file. Her name is Amora Alade. One says, heiress to Alade Holdings. Vanessa gasps. What she thought was dirt turns out to be gold, but she can still twist it into a weapon. The revelation spreads like a spark in dry grass. Vanessa whispers it to her circle. She's not a beggar. She's a billionaire's heir. Instead of silencing gossip, the rumor makes Amora seem worse. A deceiver, a manipulator playing poverty for sympathy. Headlines scream. Heiress pretend to beg. Why? Outrage brews. Some call her clever. Others call her cruel. David storms to the market. Why didn't you tell me? He demands. Amora keeps her composure. And what would you have done if you knew? He hesitates. I don't know. Exactly, she says. People's love bends when money enters a room. I needed to know if yours could stand without it. His anger cools into painful clarity. She never lied directly. She withheld, and in doing so, exposed him to himself. Yet betrayal stings. You used me for your test, he says. Her eyes glisten. And you think I haven't been tested every day of my life? By men, by family, by parasites. The silence between them is heavy. David leaves, torn apart. Vanessa pounces, spinning the story. She's playing you, David. She's mocking you in rags while laughing in silk at night. She feeds blogs photos of Amora entering her mansion. The narrative twists cruelly. From Beggar to Billionaire's game, Lagos duped again. Amora braces herself. Her test has grown teeth sharper than she expected. But she does not run. She endures, waiting to see if David's love can survive the storm. Hook. Sir Richard seizes a moment. Son, end this and the storm will pass. Choose family or choose ruin. David must decide. David doesn't end it. He can't. Despite the lies, despite the humiliation, Amora's strength holds him. He remembers her quiet under mockery, her courage at a gala, her refusal to bow to wealth. Love, unwanted, inconvenient, unstoppable, has crept in. He shows up at her mansion gates. No cameras, no entourage. Guards hesitate, then allow him entry. Inside, he finds Amora in a library, dressed simply, surrounded by ledgers and maps. He blurts, I don't care about the money. I care about you. She doesn't smile. Care is easy when it's pretty. Will you still care when it's ugly? He kneels beside her chair. Test me again. Then, I'll take every test you throw. For the first time, her walls crack. Tears slip down her cheeks, not of weakness, but of relief. She whispers, then don't love me for being rich. Love me for being stubborn, complicated, scarred. He wipes her tears gently. That's the only version I know. They share their first kiss, not in a gala, not in silk, but in a quiet study smelling of old books and jasmine. It is imperfect, hesitant, real, but love does not silence enemies. Outside, Vanessa plots her most vicious move yet. If she can't destroy Amora with lies, she'll destroy David with public doubt. She schedules a press conference, promising to expose the truth behind the Beggar-era scandal. Vanessa understands that scandals don't need facts, just pressure points. She brokers a backroom deal with a gossip vlogger, a PR fixer, and a disgruntled ex-employee from a Alade Holdings legal vendor. The plan: Claim Amora forged portions of chief Alade's will, suggest offshore diversions from a foundation, and leak receipts, carefully cropped emails and out-of-context bank screenshots. To lace it with venom, she teases a live-stream reveal. Tonight, Lagos learns who Amora Beggar Alade really is. Sir Richard urges David to stay away from the blast radius. This is not about love. This is about survivability. David rejects the calculus. He goes to Amora's mansion, where the operations room hums. Chidi has already traced Vanessa's fixer and spotted the fake artifacts. Metadata altered, creation times inconsistent. But the problem with lies is velocity. They hit faster than truth can walk. Amora drafts 2 responses, a clean legal rebuttal for regulators and a short, human statement for the public. I will not perform my dignity for clicks. All documentation will be filed with the appropriate authorities. Meanwhile, our clinics remain open. Chidi wants fire. She chooses water. Let them rage, she says. We'll be busy saving children. Live stream time. Vanessa purrs through exposes, pinning images to a storyline that flatters her audience's cynicism. Comments flood. Knew it. Rich people play poor for clout. Then the stream glitches, because Chidi has quietly filed DMCA takedowns on stolen documents and fed the platform evidence of tampering. The live collapses into buffering. When it returns, Vanessa's voice trembles. Technical issues. The spell breaks. Skepticism grows. David texts a single line to Amora, "With you?" She replies, "Stand still. Don't swing at shadows." Hours later, a reputable paper posts a careful piece about forged metadata and the fixer's past fabrications. It doesn't go viral, but it plants doubt where Vanessa needed certainty. Hook. Humiliated but not defeated, Vanessa changes targets, from Amora's reputation to David's inheritance. She goes after Sir Richard. If scandal won't separate lovers, shame might. Vanessa leveraged board allies to orchestrate a scene at a luxury hotel fundraiser, a room where Sir Richard is king. She arranges for anonymous donors to question why the Coles tolerate their consorting with a deceiver. A MIC accidentally picks it up. Laughter ripples. Sir Richard turns to ice. He invites David onto the stage to announce a new housing initiative. The subtext: reclaim the narrative, make the boy perform the family brand. David crosses the stage, sees the expectant faces, and thinks of Amora on the curb under the Lagos sun. The teleprompter scrolls corporate compassion. He deviates. Housing isn't charity, it's justice. And justice doesn't stop by deciding who belongs in rooms like this. Gasps. Sir Richard's smile calcifies. Backstage, father and son explode. Old wounds, new fault lines. I built a life you could inherit, Richard says. And I refuse to inherit your fear, David replies. In the parking bay, Vanessa executes Phase 2. 2 hired men discover a bracelet in Amora's purse as she arrives to meet David. Security swarms, cameras swing. Amora says quietly, "Call the police. Let's do it properly." The officers arrive. She waives privilege and submits to a search. Nothing else is found. The bracelet shows up in a staff locker. Fingerprints. One of Vanessa's hirelings, whose girlfriend bragged on WhatsApp about Big Madam's gig. Chidi had the chats backed up before they were deleted. Publicly, security apologizes. Privately, Sir Richard fumes that David keeps making avoidable enemies. Amora, calm, tells David, "This is your world's language. Humiliation. Mine is patience." He bows his head. "Teach me yours." Hook. Tired of proxies, Sir Richard requests a private meeting with Amora. If he can't bend his son, maybe he can break the relationship. Sir Richard arrives at Amora's estate expecting lack of arrogance. He finds restraint, order, and walls lined with practical maps and clinic dashboards. No ostentation, only intent. Connell offers water. Ada briefs Amora on a rural surgical mission. Richard observes a quiet choreography and recalculates. They sit across a narrow table, no distance to hide in. Richard opens with power. "Whatever game you're playing, end it. I cannot let my son be collateral." Amora answers with clarity. "Your son is not collateral. He is a man deciding what kind of man to be." He tries a different angle. "Money. We can fund your foundation generously." She smiles. almost tender. We don't take money from people who think it buys obedience. He notices the word we. This isn't a solo heiress. This is a team, an ethic, a system. She offers a tour. He sees procurement logs, randomized audits, the no-selfie policy on charity work. He meets a recovering teenager video calling a surgeon in India, telemedicine funded quietly by Lade Holdings. Richard's face softens despite himself. For the first time, he speaks without a performance. I buried a wife who believed in the kind of work you're doing. I know what the world does to gentle things. Amora replies, then help your son not become the thing that hurts them. He asks why the disguise. She tells him about parasites and how rags made some people honest. I wanted to find who sees a person before they see a wallet. He thinks of David challenging him on stage, of his own reflex to move problems into lounges. He sees where he failed his son, love measured in optics, not courage. Before leaving, he makes no promises, but he offers the truth. If you hurt him, I will move heaven to stop you. Amora nods. If I hurt him, I'll help you move it. It's not a truce, but it is respect. A door knock, regulatory officers with cool eyes and crisp warrants. They demand records, wills, trusts, shipping manifests, foundation disbursements. The staff is ready. Amora's paranoia has always been administrative excellence. Still, rage creates theater, and the audience is merciless. Blogger's caption, is the Beggar heiress a fraud? Amora convenes her war room. BC, legal, coordinates with independent auditors. Chidi readies a data room. Ada safeguard patient privacy. Amora's instructions are surgical, complete transparency, zero drama. If we lose money for refusing bribes, she says, we will say so loudly. Meanwhile, she sends lunch to the officers. Not a bribe, hospitality with receipts. Lagos notices a difference. David arrives, but she asks him to sit out public statements. If you stand beside me now, they'll say I hid behind your name. Let my work speak. It stings him, yet he obeys. Growth in real time. The audit unfolds like a courtroom thriller. The offshore diversions are exposed as vendor escrow accounts with full trails. The forged will pages are authenticated by the registrar. The shipping manifests show an unflattering truth. Alade Holdings pours a profitable route to divert supplies to flood-hit communities. Regulators, some embarrassed, soften. A senior officer mutters to another, unaware MIC is hot. This one runs cleaner than half the charities we applaud. At a calm press briefing, Amora offers numbers, not tears. We make mistakes, not excuses. Our work is open. Our doors are open. Questions turn from attack to curiosity. Why the anonymity? How to scale clinics without saviorism? She answers plainly. The clip trends, not for scandal, but for competence. That's rarer than outrage and, ironically, more viral. Vanessa's coalition phrase. One ally flips, handing Chidi the email thread that shows who commissioned the forged leaks. A quiet complaint lands on a commissioner's desk. Someone important now owes the Alade team a favor. The city moves on, scandal-tired, curiosity-fed. With the noise dimmed, Amora and David finally breathe. They spend a day without screens. Danfo rides, roasted corn by the roadside, a slow walk through Freedom Park. He listens more than he speaks. She lets him see more than the armor. He tells her about a childhood memory. His mother, shoeless on wet grass, laughing in a storm. She tells him how the sound of a clinic generator at night comforts her more than symphonies. Then Amora names a fear that outlived the audit. I don't know if you're in love with me or the woman I helped you become. He flinches at the accuracy. Let me find out with you, he says. She nods, but sets a boundary. No more rescues. If you choose me, you'll choose against comfort. Often. The cold board calls an emergency session. A motion circulates to sideline David from succession for judgment lapses. Sir Richard watches his son deliver a short, unvarnished defense. If leadership is pre-approved cruelty, then I'm unfit. If it's courage to do the right thing when it's bad for business, then I'm learning. Silence. A minority bloc, moved by Richard's private recounting of his visit to Amora's mansion, halts the motion. Not victory, reprieve. That night, David shows up at the market in a plain tee, no driver. He apologizes to Mama Oj for crowd chaos weeks ago, buys Zobo, and sits on the same cracked curb where he once laughed. Cameras could have captured it. None are there. It isn't content. It's character. Back at the mansion, Amora watches him help a fruit seller stack crates in the dark after closing. She realizes this is the answer to her fear, love that behaves when unobserved. She texts him, "Come by." He arrives to find her in the garden. "What's the next test?" he asks. She surprises him. There's no next test. There's a life. We'll fail some days, but we'll tell the truth about it. He exhales, tears bright. He kneels, not with diamond, but with a small wooden ring he carved from a fallen branch in her garden. Awkward, beautiful, real. "Marry me," he says, "not because I can protect you, because I want to build the kind of world you already live in." She laughs through tears. "Stand up. We start as equals." She says yes, not loudly, not for an audience, but for themselves. The proposal doesn't end their battles. It ignites new ones. Within days, society columns twisted. Beggar heiress engaged a billionaire's son. Fairy tale or fiasco. Sir Richard, torn between relief and fury, summons David. "You've tied yourself to someone who makes the family vulnerable." David replies, calm but firm, "Or maybe she's the only one who makes us honest." Amora and David try to plan quietly, but chaos keeps intruding. Vendors inflate wedding costs, assuming unlimited wealth. Tabloids circle daily, paparazzi camping outside Amora's mansion gates. Worst of all, old delayed relatives crawl out of shadows, demanding their share. Cousin Kalu, the one who once pitched marriage like a merger, files a bogus claim contesting Chief Alade's will. Lawyers swarm. At the same time, Amora's foundation faces a sudden surge of need. Floods devastate a nearby rural community, destroying homes and cutting off children from clinics. Instead of shrinking into personal drama, Amora doubles down. "If love means anything," she tells David, "it must survive when the world burns." David joins her, not in suits, but in boots. They wade through knee-deep water, distributing relief supplies, holding babies, comforting mothers. Photos leak, not staged, not glamorous. They trend anyway, titled, "The Heiress Who Came with Her Hands, Not Just Her Wallet." But chaos leaves cracks. At night, exhaustion drains them. David fears losing corporate succession. Amora fears their love being consumed by performance. One evening, as rain pelts the roof, she whispers, "Do you think we'll survive this storm?" He cups her face, soaked in sincerity. "We won't survive it. We'll walk through it. Surviving is too small for us." Hook, Vanessa, watching them gain sympathy, decides on her nuclear move, exposing secrets from within the coal empire itself. Cornered, Vanessa changes tactics. Instead of attacking Amora, she turns her venom inward, to the coals. She bribes a coal accountant to leak documents suggesting the family displaced poor communities to build luxury towers. The blogs explode. Coal dynasty built on broken homes. For once, the outrage isn't about Amora. It's about David's bloodline. Sir Richard convenes an emergency board session, terrified of collapse. Investors threaten to pull out. Protesters march with placards. Homes for people, not profits. David, shattered, confronts his father. Is it true? Sir Richard's silence is answer enough. Rage and disappointment boil in David's chest. "I defended this family while you buried its sins." Richard, aged overnight, mutters, "That's what it takes to build an empire." David spits the words, "Then maybe the empire isn't worth keeping." Amora steps in, urging David not to let bitterness consume him. "You can't fight corruption by becoming it. Expose it with light." Together, they gather evidence, not to shield the coals, but to admit wrongdoing. David drafts a statement. "Our family made choices that hurt the vulnerable. We cannot undo them, but we will repair them." Sir Richard calls it suicide. David calls it leadership. The press conference shocks Lagos. Instead of spin, David offers confession. He outlines restitution plans, housing funds, relocation stipends, a halt to predatory projects. For the first time, the city sees a Cole not hiding behind luxury, but standing bare in responsibility. Vanessa tries to twist it as weakness, but the public admires honesty. Ironically, the scandal she engineered becomes a fire that forges David's credibility. She is left furious, clutching a playbook that no longer works. Amora decides to give David her final test. One evening, she invites him to the study and lays out a challenge. No money, no Cole name, no allayed empire. For 30 days, live like you once laughed at me for living. Let's see who you are when the streets don't care about your last name. David agrees without hesitation. He leaves behind his penthouse, cards, and chauffeurs. For a month, he rents a single-room apartment in Mushin, works with street vendors, and eats a car with sachet water. The first week breaks him. Mosquitoes, unreliable electricity, hustlers trying to cheat him. But slowly, something shifts. He learns to stretch 500 Nigerian nairas for a day, to respect hawkers running in traffic, to see dignity where once he only saw struggle. Amora watches from a distance, disguised again in rags, blending into the streets. She sees him helping an old woman carry firewood, protecting a boy from police harassment, and giving his last 200 Nigerian nairas to a bus conductor who was shortchanged. None of it is staged. None of it is performed. By the end of 30 days, David has lost weight but gained grit. When he returns to Amora, his eyes no longer carry pity. They carry understanding. I thought wealth made life easier. Now I know it only hides pain. The real strength is living it and staying kind. Tears stream down Amora's cheeks. The test is over. She whispers, "Then I believe you love me, not for the heiress, not for the scandal, not for the empire." They embrace, not as billionaire's son and billionaire's heir, but as equals forged by hardship. Hook, but Vanessa still has one last desperate card to play, the wedding itself. The wedding day looms, and Lagos buzzes like a hive. Invitations are whispered like secrets. Media outlet prepare for coverage. But Vanessa, unwilling to fade into irrelevance, plans sabotage. She bribes staff at the venue to cause disruptions and leaks a rumor that Amora will use a wedding to announce political ambitions, painting it as a stunt. On the day, guests and vibrant passersby flood the hall. Cameras line the entrance. Amora wears a gown simple yet regal, David in a tailored ikbada. As vows begin, chaos strikes, power suddenly cuts, microphones screech, and whispers ripple. This is a scam. Vanessa strides in, feigning innocence, claiming to save the Coles from disgrace. But instead of panic, Amora rises. She signals the choir, who begins singing a cappella. Guests join in clapping. Phones light up the hall, turning darkness into brilliance. Amora addresses everyone calmly. This union isn't about wealth or image. It's about true surviving lies. We stand here with nothing but our words. The crowd erupts in applause. Meanwhile, Chidi quietly confronts a bribe staff. With evidence on video, he hands it to police waiting outside. Vanessa's final scheme collapses in real time. Cameras catch her being escorted out as the choir continues singing. The vows resume, raw and unpolished, under the glow of phone flashlights. David says, "I promise to walk with you in dust and in light." Amora replies, "And I promise to never let wealth silence our truth." They kiss, sealing not just a marriage but a revolution of values. Hook, yet the true test comes after the wedding, when life storms return. The dust settles. Weeks later, Lagos still talk about the wedding where love triumphed over sabotage. Headlines call Amora the Beggar billionaire's bride, turning her once-mocked disguise into a crown of resilience. Markets buzz with pride. She's one of us. Social media trends with photos of a simple gown lit by phone lights, caption #LoveInTruth. In their new life, Amora and David balance empires with humility. They launch a joint initiative, Homes and Hands, funding clinics, schools, and affordable housing, managed transparently with community oversight. Unlike flashy donations, this project builds roots in forgotten places. Sir Richard, though still stern, begins to soften. At a family dinner, he admits quietly, "You become the man I should have raised you to be." David clasps his father's hand. Healing, slow but real, begins. Vanessa, disgraced, tries to rebuild abroad. Her name lingers only as a cautionary tale of envy burning itself out. The boardroom wolves retreat, unwilling to fight a couple whose credibility grows stronger with every storm survived. One evening, Amora and David return to the curb where it began. They sit side by side on the cracked pavement, eating roasted corn. Passers-by stare, recognizing them. Some whisper, some cheer, some simply nod in respect. David laughs softly. Imagine, this is where I once laughed at you. Amora squeezes his hand. And this is where love lasts. As night falls, a little girl approaches timidly and drops a 50 Nigerian nairas note in Amora's lap. For your future, Auntie, she says. Amora smiles, pressing it back into the child's palm. No, darling, for yours. The city that once scorned her rags now bows to her truth. The beggar de Mott became not just richer than them all, but freer, kinder, and more powerful in love than any fortune could measure.